Sup, you beautiful bastards? Hope you've had a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is why Fox News commentator Tomi Lahren is in the news today. And the reason is in Minneapolis over the weekend, Tomi Lahren was at a restaurant to have brunch with her parents. And as Lahren and her mother were leaving the restaurant, a woman threw a full glass of water on her, and we know that because there is video of it. Tomi then goes over to the table, she confronts the woman, there are other videos showing the two arguing, and then security steps in. But it also wasn't kind of just a one-on-one confrontation, there were other people there that were shouting at Lahren.
Hey, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, fuck that.
Fuck that bitch. Fuck this hoe. Racist ass bitch. Why you even out here? Get that bitch out of here.
According to Jeremy Jackson, the bouncer seen in the videos, Lahren claimed that the girls were, quote, scowling at her, and so as she was walking by, she said, just another day in the life, and then the drink was thrown. Jackson also saying that when he tried to break up the two women, Lahren said, you're just going to kick me out for them throwing water? Unbelievable. And according to Jackson, after Lahren left, he also escorted the water thrower out. And following these videos going viral, of course, there was a big reaction. Some who really do not like Tomi Lahren cheering on the move, supporters of Tomi Lahren saying this is disgusting, but what was really interesting is that it seemed that there were more people on that side. Even Kathy Griffin of severed Donald Trump head photo fame tweeted, I couldn't disagree more with Tomi Lahren, but I don't think it's cool to resort to physical actions to make your point. The First Amendment is a beautiful thing, use it. We also saw others have similar reactions. I may not agree with a lot of views you have, but I enjoy the fact that you have them and I live in a country where you are allowed to do so. Can't stomach her, but this behavior doesn't work. And following the event, the initial reaction, Lahren tweeted out thanks for the support and announced that she was going to be on Fox and Friends to discuss the situation. And this morning when she went on Fox and Friends, she had a similar sentiment to Kathy Griffin.
You don't have to like me, you don't have to agree with my political opinions, but you don't have the right to throw things at me. Is that the point that we got in this country, that you can't disagree with someone civilly without resorting to something like that? It's really disheartening, but again, I'm tough, I can handle it.
And following that interview, huge fan of Fox News and President of the United States, Donald Trump, tweeted out, everybody is with Tomi Lahren, a truly outstanding and respected young woman. And Lahren retweeting that along with the American flag emoji. And following Trump's tweet of support towards Tomi Lahren, we saw a new wave of criticism come in. And much of it kind of revolving around the sentiment of this tweet, where Tony Poznanski said, it took Donald Trump less than a day to show support for Tomi Lahren, who had a drink thrown at her arm. It also took Donald Trump 3 weeks to show support for James Shaw Jr., who disarmed a mass shooter and saved lives. I wonder why. Also kind of a weird side bit to this story, one of the guys that's on video saying fuck that bitch identified himself on Twitter. It matches with the tag you see in the video. His real name is Devin Madison, and he has since made a song about the incident, which is an interesting SoundCloud rapper kind of thing to do. But to jump back to the main part of the story, to throw my opinion in there, I really do agree with Griffin and Lahren here. Once you resort to physical actions because you do not like something that someone is saying, you greatly disagree, you are disgusted by that person, the only person you're really hurting is yourself, and the only thing that you are hurting is your argument. And while I was disappointed to still see a good number of people cheering on what happened, I was very happy to see many people that do not like Tomi Lahren speaking out against this. But of course, with that said, that is my opinion, and I want to kick that question to you. What's your takeaway from this situation? Regarding one, the actual altercation, and then two, the whole reaction around Trump and with Trump. And then let's talk about the Obama boycott. If you didn't see, on Monday it was announced that the Obamas signed a multi-year deal to produce shows and films for Netflix. The announcement saying the Obamas will produce a diverse mix of content, including the potential for scripted series, unscripted series, docu-series, documentaries, and features. As of right now, no specific content or timeline have been given, but according to a source, sometimes the former president and first lady will be on camera as hosts or moderators. In other cases, they will stay behind the scenes as producers. Also, as of right now, the financial terms of the deal have not been disclosed, but experts believe the deal is probably valued somewhere near a fuck ton of money to, oh my god, can you even have that much money? Money. Former President Obama saying in a statement, we hope to cultivate and curate the talented, inspiring, creative voices who are able to promote greater empathy and understanding between peoples and help them share their stories with the entire world. And following this announcement, we saw a lot of reactions. There was a lot of general excitement, some kind of confusion as far as what the content will actually look like, and then also a lot of hate. Some just generally not happy that Netflix and the Obamas had reached a deal. And then you also had people saying that they were canceling their Netflix subscription and they were calling for a boycott. Some mentioning that they're going to switch to services like Hulu, some referencing other past boycotts they've been a part of. Now, as far as will it be effective, we'll see. Since the deal with the Obamas was announced, Netflix stock has just continued to go up. As of recording this video, is up more than 3% just for today. I don't personally believe that it will, but situations like this, you really have to look, several weeks out, several months out to see what, if any, real effect a boycott or cancellations have. So we'll do just that. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome, brought to you by DeFrancoElite.com. And if you don't know, DeFrancoElite.com is the best way to support this, at times we've been called advertiser unfriendly show, and everything else that we're building. DeFranco Flago Elite subscribers get access to several exclusive live streams a month, exclusive content. It's essentially like all the stuff that we're testing and building out. Some of it's more news focused, some of it's more casual. Like we put out an over an hour podcast today that we call the Rogue Rocket Podcast. And actually, if you want to watch that one specifically, I'll link to it in the top links down below. And there are a bunch of other features and exclusives, but I'll just put the link down below if you want to check it out. And the first bit of awesome today comes from a small YouTuber by the name of Ian Kung. After yesterday's video where we talked about Kendrick Lamar bringing that white fan on stage, all that outrage, a lot of people were asking, you know, how is she supposed to sing on stage with Kendrick Lamar? And Ian Kung made a fantastic explainer video of how to do that if you're ever in that position. I highly recommend you watch it after today's video. Then we got a new bad lip reading video, this time around the royal wedding. We got a clip for Luke Cage season 2. We got a brand new trailer for Skyscraper, although warning, it does feel like you get to see pretty much most of the movie. We got a trailer for Down a Dark Hall. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. And then let's talk about why we have the NFL and kneeling during the national anthem back in the news. That of course was a hot button issue. It was the focus of national debate last season. Well, the reason we're talking about it today is today the NFL announced that they have a new policy regarding kneeling, and it involves penalties. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell releasing a statement saying the efforts by many of our players sparked awareness and action around issues of social justice that must be addressed. Adding it was unfortunate that on-field protests created a false perception among many that thousands of NFL players were unpatriotic. This is not and was never the case. But then adding, this season all league and team personnel shall stand and show respect for the flag and the anthem. Personnel who choose not to stand for the anthem may stay in the locker room until after the anthem has been performed. And if the teams and its individual players do not abide by this new policy, the policy statement says a club will be fined by the league and the commissioner will impose appropriate discipline on league personnel. Now, as you might imagine, the NFL Players Association was none too happy, saying in a statement the NFL chose to not consult the union in the development of this new policy, adding NFL players have shown their patriotism through their social activism, their community service in support of our military and law enforcement, and yes, through their protests to raise awareness about the issues they care about. The vote by NFL club CEOs today contradicts the statements made to our player leadership by Commissioner Roger Goodell and the chairman of the NFL's Management Council, John Mara, about the principles, values, and patriotism of our league. And they close the statement saying our union will review the new policy and challenge any aspect of it that is inconsistent with the collective bargaining agreement. And from my point of view, it kind of looks like Roger Goodell and the owners in the league we're trying to kind of go for a middle ground, but largely online it doesn't look like that's how it's been received. And so from the league's standpoint, they're most likely just thinking, how do we stop the bleeding that last year's controversy caused? And at the same time, they probably feel like they're not throwing the teams and the players under the bus because they said, you know, all the protests did raise awareness to issues that they cared about, and they are still free to protest, but just not on the field during the national anthem. So we're not stopping you from protesting, we're just stopping where you can protest. But as far as is that actually how people are receiving this information, I'm very interested, and so I want to pass that question off to you. What do you think about this move? Is it ridiculous, or no, it makes complete sense? Why not? I'd love to know your thoughts in those comments down below. And then let's talk about possibly the sexiest kind of news I could include on this show, and that is primaries leading up to the 2018 midterms. Oh my God, I hope you are watching this in private. You might want to put a pillow on your lap for this one. But joking aside, this is actually a really interesting situation that kind of gives us an insight into where we are in this country right now. So yesterday, Texas, Georgia, Kentucky, and Arkansas held primaries, and there were a lot of candidates running in those 4 states. There is plenty to unpack, but here are essentially the 3 most important things we learned from yesterday's primary results. 1, candidates in both parties seem to agree on one thing, and that is President Trump is the issue in 2018. 2, this is the year for female candidates. And 3, some Democrats are putting their faith in veterans running as outsiders. So regarding things being all about Trump, we saw a lot of campaigning Republicans trying to prove who is the most loyal and most like the president. Meanwhile, Democrats believe that is a plan that is going to backfire for the GOP, and so their strategy is to use the Trump presidency to motivate more Democratic voters than the Republicans in November. And one of the best examples for the Republicans was the Republican governor's race in Georgia. The 3 most notable there, you had Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp, State Senator Michael Williams, and Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, all seemingly trying to prove themselves as the most conservative. For Cagle, you might remember back in February, he made national headlines after he threatened to kill a tax break for Georgia's largest employer, Delta Airlines. That after the airline decided to cut ties with the NRA. It was a bold move, but one that actually paid off for him because the NRA endorsed him last month. Then we saw Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp turning to political ads that became viral hits on social media. In one, you might remember Kemp pointing a shotgun alongside a young teenager that was interested in dating his daughter.
Jake asked why I was running for governor. I said 1,
cap government spending.
2,
Take a chainsaw to regulations.
3,
Make Georgia #1 for small business.
and 2 things if you're gonna date one of my daughters.
Respect,
And
a healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment. Sir.
In ads, he really tried to tie himself with Trump on the narrative of political correctness.
I'm Brian Kemp. I'm so conservative. I blow up government spending. I own guns that no one's taken away. My chainsaw's ready to rip up some regulations. I got a big truck, just in case I need to round up criminal illegals and take them home myself. Kate Steinle, Edwin Jackson, and the Cannon family, all killed by illegal immigrants. Donald Trump is right. We must secure the border and end sanctuary cities.
And then, of course, we had State Senator Michael Williams, who you may have seen on the news in the past week because of his outspoken ads that featured his deportation bus.
We've got the deportation bus. That's right, you heard me. We're going to implement my 287G deportation plan that's going to fill this bus with illegals to send them back to where they came from. We're not just going to track them and watch them roam around our state. We're going to put them on this bus and send them home.
And in the end, we actually ended up having some interesting results. No candidate was able to secure 50% of the vote, which means the top two vote earners will have to continue campaigning in a runoff against one another. And the two candidates who advanced to the July runoff are Casey Cagle, who secured 39% of the vote, and Brian Kemp, who secured 25.6%. And whoever wins that runoff is going to have to face off against Democrat Stacey Abrams in the November midterm. She is notable for a few reasons, including the fact that she is the state's first female nominee for governor from either party. And on that note specifically, if Abrams were to beat out Kemp or Casey in November, she would become the nation's first African-American female governor. But the main two that I want to hit on right now are, one, there's been a lot of conversation of where Democrats should land going into 2018 and then 2020. Is it a move closer to the middle, something more centrist, and maybe you can win back some Trump voters? Or is it a push to the left? You look back to the 2016 election, the Democrats, or rather the DNC, pushed forward Hillary Clinton, a candidate that was obviously to the right of Bernie Sanders. And here, the state of Georgia is this fantastic test case to see what sells better. Georgia is typically a red state, but it's one that Trump only won in 2016 with 5.2% more than Clinton. So in 2018, it might be more of a purple state. The Democrats have a chance. How will Democrats vote in the primary? And what we ended up seeing is that Democrats in Georgia passed up on the kind of more centrist Stacey Evans, and they voted for Abrams, who won with 76.5% of the vote. And of course, you never want to say what happens in one state is going to be representative of what happens in the other 49. But considering how small the vote differential was back in the 2016 presidential election, it makes you wonder where 2018 is going to land everywhere else. But that said, Stacey Abrams was also notable because she was part of a much larger story, and that is the number of women running this year. Overall, there are 476 women running for House seats. Both parties are putting forward more women than in 2016. Democrats saw a 146% increase in female candidates. Republicans saw a 35% increase. And the thing is, they're actually winning a lot of party nominations too. Even before yesterday's primaries, close to half the women running for House primaries ended up winning. 60 women won and 63 lost. And yesterday, there were even more victories for female candidates. One of the biggest wins was Democrat Amy McGrath, who beat out Lexington Mayor Jim Gray in the race for Kentucky's 6th district nomination. And McGrath's win there is a huge shakeup for the Democratic Party because Gray, not McGrath, was initially backed by the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. And the thing is, it actually looks like that helped her because throughout the primary campaign, she used her lack of endorsement as a way to position herself as an outsider. And also, it really doesn't hurt that she's a veteran and the first female Marine to fly an F-18 fighter jet in combat. And actually, on the topic of veterans, it is important to note that while McGrath wasn't supported by the DCCC in the primaries, she is part of a smaller strategy initiated in part by Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton. And Moulton's strategy is pretty simple: get veterans elected. Moulton is a veteran himself. He is a former Marine who served 4 tours in Iraq and was one of the first Americans to reach Baghdad after 9/11. And he also established a PAC called Serve America to raise money for other veterans running for office. And so along with McGrath, we saw Gina Ortiz-Jones, an Iraq War veteran who won the Democratic nomination for a Texas U.S. House seat yesterday. And as far as why they think this strategy will work, as explained by Joe Trippi, a longtime National Democratic strategist, they're all people who served the country without worrying about who's a Democrat and who's a Republican. Let's just get the damn thing done. In this Washington, in this divisive, chaotic cycle, you have these people who've proven they can rise above party and actually accomplish a mission. And as of right now, it appears to be working. There are 17 candidates currently in Moulton's Serve America, and so far none of them have lost their primary campaigns. We of course will have to wait and see how the PAC's other candidates do moving forward, but it's going to be very interesting. And the note that I want to end this story on, whether you're on the left, you're on the right, you're kind of on the fence. Midterms historically have a much lower voter turnout, even though the people that you're voting for there are more likely to affect your day-to-day life than kind of the bigger stuff. And that's before you even take into account the relationship between Congress and the president and where you want to see those things go. And so I'm saying no matter where you lie politically, if you want to see more of what you think should be happening in the world, both locally and nationally, make sure you vote in these upcoming midterms. It's exactly like what President Trump said yesterday.
So your vote in 2018 is every bit as important as your vote in 2016. Although I'm not sure I really believe that, but you know. I don't know who the hell wrote that line. I'm not sure. But it's still important, remember.
And that's where I'm going to end today's show. And of course, remember, this is the Philip DeFranco Show. I give you the news, sometimes my opinion, and then I want to hear from you, whether it be the last story, the first one, anything in between. Let me know what you're thinking in those comments down below. Also, if you're new here, you want more of these daily news videos, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell to turn on notifications. Also, if you missed yesterday's show and you want to catch up, you can click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you need something lighter, you can click or tap right there to watch today's brand new behind the scenes vlog. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.